I cut the check, I cut the check, I cut the check. Tell my niggas we up next, so we up next. She shot a text, she shot a text, she shot a text. Kill the I might put the different day, put a nigga on that same shit. I've been ballin' with my niggas, Kevin Cambridge. Oh, you drippy, but you better tuck your chain quick.
What's going on, man? We back again with another episode of Between the Lines, and today I want to kind of go away from that grading each team's off season. I'm gonna come back with that. I might drop another video today, but I'm definitely not done with that series. But today I just want to talk about players with the most improved today. I got top 10 players with the most improved in the NBA. Now, with this list, I'm not gonna come in with the obvious names like Ben Simmons. One, I can't even say Ben Simmons because I don't even know his situation. I don't know if he's going to be on the team he is now or if he's going to be on another team. And if he's on another team, it might take a long time because nobody's going to really trade for Ben Simmons right now, especially with them wanting multiple players. So I'm not going to say Ben. Russell Westbrook, I didn't put him on my list because I feel like everybody, if they had a video like this, they would have him on this list. Obviously, he does have a lot to prove with him being a number 3 option for the first time in his career. But I'm not going to put him on this list because everybody else is going to have him. Another name they probably have Pascal Siakam, because I don't know. Pascal had a decent year last year. I think it went under the radar, bro. Pascal, his playmaking and his rebounding improved tremendously last year. But I don't know. A lot of people don't talk about that. But I'm not going to name the obvious names. We're going to come in with some new, fresh names. A couple ones that, not really new names. Names I talked about a lot on this channel. But most of the part, new. So, to start off with this list, my number 1 player, well, I'm going from top to bottom. Bottom to top. So, my last player, it's not really in order. So, the first one I want to name up is Fred VanVleet. I think Fred has a lot to prove this season because he's given the keys to the franchise. He is the point guard of the team, the new point guard of the team. The person that just left is the best player in the franchise, Kyle Lowry. And now Fred actually can go back to his main position, which is point guard, and be the leader of the team. Now, he had a decent year last year. When I looked at his numbers, I was kind of surprised at the same time. He averaged 19 points. I pretty much knew that. 6 assists. He's always been a decent playmaker, but 38% from the field is terrible, especially for a point guard. That's terrible. When you're almost shooting the same amount you're shooting from 3, which he's shooting 36 from 3, that's pretty terrible. So, he has to get that back up. He has to be more consistent because 38% is bad. But now, he's the number 1, I wouldn't say number 1 player on the team, but he is the point guard of the team, the leader of the team. The point guards are always the leader. So, they kind of giving him the keys to be the point guard now. And I feel like he has to have a big year ahead of him, bro. Because next year in the draft is a guard-heavy draft. I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a guard, bro, if he comes out and have a bad year. But I don't expect him to have a bad year. I think he's going to have a decent year because he's going back to the position that he's always been playing his whole entire life until he went to the Raptors. He's always been a really decent, underrated playmaker. And I expect the volume to go up more and more as he's a starter now. So I can't wait to see how Fred plays this season. And I think the Rockets are a decent team. I can really never count out Nick Nurse. Remember that year when Kawhi left? Everybody was like, oh yeah, the Raptors, they probably going to make the playoffs. They're going to be like an 8 seed. Motherfuckers was like, what, a 3 seed or a 2 seed? I think that was like 2019. Like, I can never really count on Nick Nurse after that. Not really. And this team is nice, bro. You got Fred, GTJ, Gary Trent Jr., if y'all know who that is. OG Anunoby, Pascal, Kim Burst off the bench. You got Scotty. You got Malachi Flynn. I was about to forget him. Malachi Flynn. Who else they got? What was that second round? That second round pick, whoever they got. They got another player. Oh, Chris Boucher. Like, they got a little decent, little young team over there that doesn't really get talked about enough. But I wouldn't be surprised they made the play-in, bro. That's a nice team. But second player I'm going to talk about is, this is my only homer pick, Collin Sexton. And this is a valid reason for Collin Sexton. Collin Sexton's basically been in the news all offseason. First of all, the Cavs wanted to trade him because they trusted in Darius Garland more. They said Darius Garland has a higher ceiling, which is true. But they really couldn't get a trade for him. Then second of all, he wanted his max extension, which I think he deserves. It doesn't have to be a full max. It can be like Jaylen Brown type contract where he getting $28 million, because Jaylen Brown not even worth $28 million. Jaylen Brown is worth above $28 million as of right now. Jaylen Brown worth like 35, but he could have got a Jaylen Brown contract, but he didn't get that contract. So this year is a contract year for him, and I think he has to ball out. Even though I look at his stats and like, god damn, like what more does he have to do to prove to y'all that he's improving every year? 24 points, 4.4 assists, which is great for a shooting guard. 47 from the field, efficient as hell. 37 for 3, which is something that I know he needs to keep getting better at, because when he came into the league, he was a 40% 3-point shooter. Then last year, 38, and then the year after that, which was last year, 37% 3-point shooter. So he has to get that back up, and he has to shoot at a higher volume. He has to shoot like at least 6-7 a game, because Cavs have no 3-point shooting at all. But when I look at his stats, I'm like, god damn, y'all couldn't even get my boy 25. What the fuck? Terry Rozier made $96 million. Y'all couldn't get him. He couldn't give him that. I think he's better than Terry Rozier. No offense to Terry Rozier, but he's better than Terry Rozier, and he's younger. But for him to not get nothing, no max extension at all, y'all just have no faith in giving him that extension. That's crazy. So I don't know. I feel like he has a lot to prove this season, not just to the Cavs but to other teams, because I don't know if the Cavs want to bring him back, and if they don't want to bring him back, he has to prove a lot to get that $26 million or $28 million from another team, and I feel like he's well deserved that. Bro, he had a really nice season last year, especially when Darius Garland came out, bro. And that was my one question with him. Can he still average the points while being a point guard? And it was a point in time he was averaging more points and more assists while being a point guard. Now, the turnovers was probably up, but that's because he's not a natural point guard. But, yeah, my number 2 player right there, Collin Sexton. Next is a star, Jimmy Butler. Now, this is just one reason. We all know Jimmy Butler he doesn't really care about the regular season, which he shouldn't. That's not where you win your championships at. And even though he had a great regular season last year, it was 21, 7-7. He has to bounce back from that stupidly locked in shit. To me, he has to bounce back. For you to say I'm stupidly locked in and drop less points than Brent Forbes, that's gonna be on his resume for the longest time. I don't think I can ever forget that, bro. I don't think I can, bro. And with this newly built Heat team, they should be a locked top 5 seed. No playing, no 6 seed, none of that. They should be a locked top 5 seed, and they should make some noise in these. I know I said in my previous videos that I don't have a lot of faith in them. I'm not really a big Heat guy, but they are a nice defensive team. When it comes to buckets, he's going to have to step up even more with the bucket side, too, because they don't really have a bucket getter other than Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero's, to me, one of their best bucket getters on the team. And he comes off the bench. He's not even their top 5. He's probably top 5. But still, like, Jimmy Butler has to have a great all-around season. I'm talking about regular season and postseason, because that stupidly locked in shit was crazy. Just looking back on that, I don't want to hold in on that too much, but like looking back on that is wild. And then for y'all to get swept while you said that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, that's my number 3 man. I'm expecting a huge year from Jimmy Butler. I think he's like 33 though. He's getting kind of old. I think did he get the max this year? I think him and Chris Paul, I know Chris Paul got it. I think he got the max too, where when he like 37, 38, he going to be making $50 million. His story is crazy, talking about like when he was a young boy to now, his story is crazy. How he was adopted and shit, that's crazy. But yeah, got to have a big year. Next, I think this is number 4, MPJ. Now, MPJ had an amazing season last year. I didn't realize how good he was last year. I'm a huge MPJ guy. I've been saying, like, when you look at Tatum and Brandon Ingram and Jaylen Brown, MPJ's on those guys' level. He just doesn't have the role that they have. And when Jamal Murray went out, he kind of showed that, like, he was definitely on their level. But I didn't realize he had this efficient season that he had last year. Averaged 19.7 rebounds, 54% from the 3, as a small forward who shoots the ball 54% period field goal percentage and 44 from the 3. That is crazy, bro. That is crazy as a small forward shooting 54%. And it's not like he's not like no dunker type guy. He just be out there shooting that motherfucker. He just doesn't miss. You can't block it. You can't. He's 6'11". Shots over his head. You can't block it. That's why I be saying he's baby T-Mac. I will never see him get a person block his shot. I'm just going to say that right now. You cannot block that shot at all. But with Jamal Murray being out at least till like March next season, because I believe he hurt it in March of this season, so that injury kind of takes like a year to heal. And even then, they might not even bring him back right away. If I'm them, I'm saving him for at least like 10 games before the playoffs so he can get his feet wet. And then when he gets into the playoffs, it's go time. Because if they fully healthy in the playoffs, my Lakers look good and all, but them Nuggets, boy, Jokic is only getting better. Michael Porter Jr. only getting better. They just need Jamal to come back as Jamal and more. Not regular season Jamal, playoff Jamal. And if they get that, shit. But yeah, with Jamal Murray being out at least to March, he is now the number 2 option. And a lot of people are having him winning most improved player, which is understandable. He's due for one. But he would have to jump up tremendously. I'm talking about like 24, 25 points. And that's something he can do, bro. 19 points shooting 54% from the field goal line, free throw line. I mean, from the field goal. That's nothing to him. He can definitely bounce up to 25. And if he does, just give him the trophy. He already won it. Give him the trophy. And I'm hoping he has a big year. Because that would just make what I've been saying for years even more good. That didn't make no sense. That will make it better because I've been right. I was right, bro. I've been saying it for years. He's on Tatum's level. He's on Brandon Ingram's level. He just doesn't have the role that they have. And for him to have that role this season, I'm expecting a huge year. My next player is a player that, like I said, not a lot of people will say when they make a list like this. Marvin Bagley. I still have a lot of faith in Marvin Bagley. I think Marvin Bagley has a lot of potential. It's just, I don't want to say the team because the team-wise, it's pretty good for him. But, like, the scheme just holds back everybody on the Kings. They don't play as fast as they should be playing. They don't score at a high limit as they should be scoring because they have all the tools for it. Just get Luke Walton out of there. That's all I'm saying. Just get Luke out of there. But Marvin Bagley has a lot of potential. On the post, bro, his footwork on the post is something that's really underrated, bro. And I know the thing with him is he can't stay healthy, but he had a decent season last year. He averaged 14.7 rebounds, 50% from the field, 34 from 3. His free throw percentage was terrible. I think it was 56, terrible. But other than that, he had a decent season last year, but I think he's a pretty good fit for this team, and there's no reason why he shouldn't be the second or third best player on this team. I believe he's going to have a big year this season, and I'm praying that he steps up this season because, if I'm not mistaken, it's a contract year for him too. Yeah, it definitely is. And, shit, the way his career been going, he on some Harry Giles shit. He might be on the training camp contract next year because he ain't been on shit. But last year, it was a decent season. And I think he can jump up to like 17 points, 8 rebounds. I think he can do that. And that's what the Kings need. And he needs to be way better defensively. Because that's also something they need. They need post presence. Rashard Holmes decent in the post as far as defense-wise. But Marvin Bagley is a person that can switch on the guards, stick big man. And he needs to have a huge year next season. Or, shit, I don't know. So I think that was, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we on number 6. Number 6 is a controversial one. I needed that so bad. Number 6, James Wiseman. The reason why I say this because the Warriors are getting to the point where they're about to be fully healthy. Hopefully none else happens to stop them from that, knock on wood. And they drafted James Wiseman number 2. Steve Kerr had to put James Wiseman on the bench for Kevon Looney for half of the year because he wasn't ready to play in that Warriors offense. He needs to have a huge year for them to be that contender that they want to be because they need that paint presence. They need that player that's able to spread the floor. They need that unicorn type player. He needs to have a huge year. He averaged 11 points, 5 rebounds. Them rebounds have to go up. 5 rebounds, 51% from the field, 31 from the 3. he has to have a huge year. He has to be a better 3-point shooter. 31% for the Warriors is that can't be. That has to be at least like 36. If he wants to be in the game, that has to be 36. He has to be more of a paint presence. He was decent as far as defense, but he has to step that up a lot. Like I said, rebounding has to go up a lot. If he wants to be in the game while they're trying to make this push to be that contender that they once was, he has to improve a lot. That's why I'm saying he has a lot to prove. Because for them to draft him at 2, when LaMelo was right there, that's because they could have got a Willie Cauley-Stein to do the stuff that they need. They just need somebody to rebound, block, set screens, be a lob threat. That can be James Wiseman, but James Wiseman is so much more than that. That's why I didn't want him on this team, because he can be so much more than that. And they could have had LaMelo. LaMelo was a perfect player for them. But yeah, James Wiseman, he has to. If he wants to play, he has to have a big year. Because Steve Kerr basically said, I don't care if you don't play. Motherfucker put in Kevin Looney, the player that cannot get off the ground to save his life. But he knows the Warriors offense. That's something that he needs to learn if he wants to play. Because with Clay coming back, Draymond back to himself, Steph Curry is damn near the best player in the league right now. They want to make that push. They don't give a damn if it's Clay's first year back. They want to make that push. And he's a young player that has to step it up if they want to make that push. Next player is, I think I got 4 more players. Yeah, 4 more. Next player, KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr. Now he has a lot to prove just because of all the pressure that he's getting put on him. A lot of people expect him to win Most Improved Player. I don't see it, but I understand it. John Wall just came out the other day. Well, the Rockets just came out the other day saying John Wall's not going to be playing with them no more. They're trying to find a new destination for him. And that means that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be their starting point guard next year, which he is capable of doing, something I did not see at all when he was on the Cavs. He was a decent passer on the Cavs, but at a higher volume, I didn't think it was going to be like it was last year. He had a really decent season coming off that G League thing and then going straight into the starting lineup. He had a really good season for them last year. He averaged 16 points, 6 assists, 42 from the field, 31 from 3. He has to be more consistent, a more consistent scorer in general, but that playmaking has to jump up to like 7. And he's right there. And with all these most improved player talks, that's going to put a lot of pressure on him, especially when you're playing right next to Jalen Green. He's going to bring a lot of looks on the Rockets. And that Rockets team going to be fun. I ain't going to lie. That Rockets team going to be fun. And I just need for him to be a more consistent scorer / playmaker. And this Rockets team might have some in that backcourt, bro. With KPJ and Jalen Green, that backcourt explosive as hell. Fun as hell. And They got something brewing over there, bro. They just get that 3 because it's not Usman Garuba. I'm just gonna be honest. He's like a role player. If they get like a 3, like fuck around next year, get Paolo Ventura, who's not a 3, he's a 4, or Caleb Houston. They can be on to some shit, or Patrick Baldwin. They can be on some shit. But yeah, he has to have a big year this season, just to prove that he's worth being that point guard for the team for the future. Next, got 3 more. Tobias Harris. Now, the one thing I want to say about Tobias is he is an amazing regular season player. 19 points, 6.8 rebounds, 51 from the field, 39 from the 3. He is an amazing regular season player. But that's something that he has to get rid of. He has to get rid of that narrative, bro. Because when it comes to the playoffs, it's not like he's like complete shit or complete dog shit. He's just not as good as he is in the regular season. And when it comes to the playoffs, it's a place where you have to step it up even more than you do in the regular season. And for Seth Curry to be their second best player in the playoffs, that's terrible. That's on him and Ben Simmons. That's terrible. And he has to stop playing terribly in the playoffs. The year before that, he played terribly. Yes, he was mainly their playmaker, but otherwise, he needed to step up as a scorer too, and he just played terribly, bro. So, for him to improve next season, he has to step it up in the playoffs, because that's something they're going to need. You don't even know who the hell they're getting back for Ben Simmons. If they're getting anything for Ben Simmons, if they're trading Ben Simmons. So, he has to step up as their number 2 option, because Joel Embiid can only do so much, bro. He did all he could do this postseason. He just didn't have no fucking help. Seth Curry can only do so much. He's not even supposed to be doing the shit that he was doing. Seth Curry was dogging. Yeah, so like I was saying, man, Seth Curry was dogging, but he should not have been the second best player on the Philadelphia 76ers in the playoffs. So, for Tobias Harris, he has to step it up. Not in the regular season, in the postseason. Next, two more. Killian Hayes. Now, I understand it's his second year. He had a huge injury in his rookie year. But I was watching Killian Hayes in the Summer League, and he came out with a lot of swagger. Him and Cade Cunningham, the whole Pistons team, when they faced, who they faced the first game? I don't even know. But the whole team came out with hella swagger. And it looked fun. They looked fun as hell. But then for the rest of the Summer League, Killian Hayes looked like dog shit. He looked terrible. And for him last year, when he came back, he averaged 6 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 35 from the field, 27 from the 3, which is terrible. He has to step it up. He has a lot to prove. He has to step it up because he was a number 7 pick. A lottery pick. Who was behind him? I'm not even going to try to think. Oh, I know Obi Toppin was. Emmanuel Quigley, Tyrese Maxey. I'm just thinking about some guards that was behind him. Then that's kind of hard to think about on the fly. But yeah, he was the number 7 pick. And at any time, bro, the Pistons can just slide Cade Cunningham back to the point guard position, which he's been his whole life. They can do that at any time. So he has to have a big position because also next year's draft is guard heavy. You got Caleb Houston, Jaden Ivey, Peyton Watson, Jaden Hardy. Like, they can slide Cade back to the point guard and draft one of those guards and just either trade Killian or put him on the bench. So he has to have a huge year. It doesn't have to be a huge year. Like, I'm talking about jumping to 20 points, but like, motherfucker, show us why we drafted you at number 7 because he was terrible. He was terrible. It just sometimes he didn't look like he was doing. He was always going left, never can go right. He was easy to guard. Like, he has to have a bounce back year because it's not looking so good, especially with draft class next year. You have Jaden Hardy, Cade Cunningham backcourt. Oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, he has to step it up. Number 10, last player, Anthony Davis. Let's talk about AD. Anthony Davis is one of the most skilled big men we've seen of all time. One of the most dominant big men we've seen of all time. Last year, I give him a little bit of a pass. He was hurt. Just came off a championship. But last year was fucking awful. 21 points. And when I say these numbers, it's like, for anybody else, they some good-ass numbers. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 49 from the field, 26 from 3. That's terrible. But 26 from the 3. For anybody else, that's good numbers. For AD, that's not it. That's not. He came out the first half of the season was god-awful. He played the first half of the season. I don't think people realize that. It took me a minute to realize that. He played the first half of the season. Made the All-Star team. Shouldn't have made it. But as his name is Anthony Davis. He has a name. So he's going to make it. Made the All-Star team. But then after that, that's when he had that injury. So then when he came back, playing in the Suns series, dominated 2 games, got dominated 1 game, then got hurt again. He has to have a bounce back season because in the beginning of the year, he was cruising, and that's just not something that Anthony Davis should be doing. He is not LeBron. I understand both of y'all just came off a championship. Both of y'all were the main players on that championship team. But LeBron is 16, 17 years in. AD, you are 27. You are supposed to be dominating. It's no reason for the past 2 seasons that Anthony Davis has been on his team. He should not have been the consensus number 1 player on the Lakers. And LeBron wanted Anthony Davis so he can take a step back and be the number 2. And show AD how to win, which he did, but he had to do that as the number 1 because AD just wasn't like dominating like he should be. And I'm passionate about that shit because I know AD is a motherfucker. AD is a top 5 talent, but not top 5. I know I'm gonna put Embiid over AD because, like I said, I've been saying this for fucking years. If Embiid just comes out and be dominant and stop trying to shoot so many fucking threes, he's the best big man in the league. So I'm gonna put Embiid over AD. But other than that, you got the consensus top four and Giannis, KD, Curry, and LeBron. AD should be right there, but he's not because he just doesn't. It don't look like he won it sometimes, bro. It just looks like he's comfortable with cruising. Like, I need that bubble AD. That bubble AD, like, he was there. He wanted that shit. I need that the whole season. He has to be the MVP of the league and the MVP of the Lakers. He has to be the best player on the team. Because when you look at us, he damn near the youngest motherfucker on the team. It's him and Taylor Horton Tucker. Carmelo 36, LeBron 36. What? Who the fuck are we at? Kent Bazemore 32. Wayne Ellington 40. LeBron 40 him damn self. Like, he the youngest motherfucker on the team. He has to step it up and be our best player on the team. I don't want to see none of that cruising shit that I seen last year because that shit, I don't even want to cuss that much, but that made me mad. That made me mad. He was cruising, and I was a person that said he shouldn't even made the damn All-Star team. It was other players out there that deserved it over them because he was just cruising. Then that's when he got hurt. And when he came back, he got dogged. DeAndre Ayton dogged him. But then he dogged him back. Dropped 30 points back to back. I need that AD every game this season, motherfucker. We are trying to win. I know the Lakers look like the best team in the West, but they are not. Like I just said, if Jamal Murray comes back and he's on some shit, they are winning the whole thing. All right, not the whole thing, because I forgot the Nets have Harden. But they are going to the finals because the Nuggets are not nothing to play with. That boy Jokic is not nothing to, and he just got slimmer too. He is not nothing to play with. Michael Porter Jr. is going to have a season. Jamal Murray, when he comes to the playoffs, is something that a lot of people have never seen before. They are the best team if they're fully healthy. That's just what I'm going to say. They're the best team if they're fully healthy. Then it's the Lakers. But it could be the Warriors. Because the Warriors, if Clay come back and he's just shooting that motherfucker and the shooting's still there, they right back. I ain't going to lie to you. They right back. That's all they need. But we need AD to step it up and be that best player. Because if he's not, we are not on shit. LeBron is 37. He can't keep doing this. He might, but he can't. AD, he brought you here to be the best player. You have to step it up. We need Anthony Davis to be the number one player on the team. And if he's not, oh shit, I'm going to be so pissed off. I'm going to be mad. But other than that, man, that's it for this video, man. Let me know how y'all did them. Let me know how I did them on list. I feel like it was a decent list. I didn't come out here with no obvious names other than Anthony Davis because I had to get that off my chest. He has to be the best player on this team. AD has to win the MVP. I'm just going to say it right now. Peace out.